Welcome to the Deep End. My name is Sarah Javed, and this is where we talk all things staff, student, and community. Today we're here with Hope Adigan, and as well as our brand new superintendent, Mr. Henner. So we've had a couple of new things happen lately, like students and teachers, staff specifically, moving to new schools, new districts. So everyone's just kind of wondering, why did that happen?
Wow, why did that happen? So we'll look back like 4 years ago, and we had a different superintendent. But Dr. Potter asked the district to start looking at how the world is changing and what we're doing for students and what things we should look into. And through a progression of listening to the community, listening to staff, listening to students, we've ended up where we've ended up here today.
Okay. So do you know who specifically was in charge of the redistricting and why?
As far as the redistricting goes, the district has went through different stages of trying to redistrict in the past, and so we kind of used the framework of what worked and what didn't work in the past to I guess, formulate this redistricting. So in the past, the administration has tried to, I guess, make more sense of the zones of where kids will go to elementary school or middle school in the past, but where they've run into problems is, there's been pushback into the community. So we flipped the script this time. So we have this data source that we use called Forecast 5, and we get all of this data about where people live, demographics, grade levels. So we downloaded all that information, but we actually brought it to our PTO leadership group, which is a member of each one of a member of each one of our PTOs in the district in our elementary schools. And we actually worked with those PTO leaders to redistrict, and through that process, and it wasn't a fast process, we would get to a certain point, they would go back to their contingency groups, bring back ideas, and it was kind of like playing ping pong over a series of months to get us to where we are today.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so there's also a rumor going around about how because of the redistricting, the bus's budget was cut back, meaning there's more budget for other things like the CTE program specifically.
Well, we've definitely become more efficient with our busing. Take out front of Wetzel Road. I mean, we used to have 4 different school zones out front of Wetzel Road, and now it's one zone. So we are more efficient, and with everything that we've done with Education 2020, with being more efficient, we've been able to bring that into student programs. And one of those student programs is, budgeting for our CTE programs or our middle school electives. Anything we can do to increase student opportunities and decrease what we need to do to operate the nuts and bolts of the district, we want to have the greatest impact on students.
Okay, so from your point of view, you think that this will definitely impact our further upcoming generation a lot more, and there will be way more opportunities for them as well?
Absolutely. I mean, the sad part of some of the budget savings is what's happening with the economy right now. Mm-hmm. Look at the gas pump, look at what energy prices, look at what it costs to go to the grocery store right now. So some of the savings is really turned into cost containment to either maintain, and not that we haven't expanded on things, but I think the dream was to even expand more than what we're going to be able to expand. But unfortunately, the economy has taken a turn that we would never have predicted 4 years ago. But because we have made the moves, the cost containment is possible without really talking about as much reduction. It's really maintaining what we have with the sprinkling of new opportunities for our students.
Okay, and now we're going to jump into the electric buses topic.
Okay.
So what is the plan with that?
So the legislature in April asked school districts across the state to take a look at what we're doing with our bus, recycling program. In Liverpool, we have a replacement program. We replace all our buses within a 10-year cycle. So they're asking us to go to zero emission buses, which is great from an environmental point of view, but from an economic point of view, these buses cost twice as much. These buses also need to be charged overnight, and unfortunately, the power company has told us we don't have the infrastructure in the community right now to power this many buses at night. We basically shut down the electric grid. So we're talking about something that has to be fully implemented by 2035, and there's a lot of work that has to happen, and it's 2022. So I'm not saying that we can't get there, but there's an awful lot of work behind the scenes that the school has very little to do with. So it'll be interesting to see how the world morphs over the next, what would that be, 13 years to get us to 2035. But realistically, we need to start buying school buses in 2025 because of that 10-year replacement plan to get us to 2035 where we be fully implemented. So it'll be interesting also to see what happens in the next 3 years, whether the legislature changes that timeline based on the feedback they're getting from the utility companies. So there's really so much that we don't know. So it'll be interesting to watch how all the different agencies are working together to make some of these things happen.
Okay, interesting. And now we're going to move on to Hope.
All right, so I'm Hope, guys. Hey. So for me personally, one of my questions, I'm currently working on my college essay. It's related to sports and mental health with athletes in not even just a district, but in general. So we recently had a super long stretch of games with no breaks in between, six games, one practice. So obviously it might not be something that you can change, but from a personal standpoint, do you think that athletic seasons should be extended or either start earlier or go into a later season?
Well, a lot of our athletes today are 12-month athletes in the sport that they're in. Very few of our athletes are 3-sport athletes. There's a lot more specialization today than there was 10 and even 20 years ago. So lengthening the seasons really doesn't, for a lot of our athletes, doesn't really change the impact because they're already playing that sport for 12 months. But I think we can look at. I think that there's things that I know that Section 3 athletics and the State Athletic Council are looking at as far as how we schedule things, length of seasons. So I think there's some changes coming, and I've been watching that just like the last question. It'll be interesting how these agencies work with the school districts to see how we make change. But primarily, there's a lot of student choice here of whether they specialize or they're in multiple sports. Personally, I like, you asked me my personal opinion, I like it when students are participating in as many activities as possible. So, specialization really isn't something that I encourage. I would like students to get involved with at least 2 or possibly 3 activities if possible.
Got it. All right, so for my second question, just in general, for not even just students but also student athletes, in terms of mental stress or exhaustion, what's something that, I guess, a motivational word kind of thing, what would you have to say to those kids that might be struggling with that?
I would say, have you ever tried to eat an apple with one bite?
I have not.
You have not, okay. So I would say when you feel stressed, take one bite out of the apple, chew it really well before you take your second bite, because a lot of times you feel like you have to eat the whole apple at the same time because the whole world is on top of you. I know that there are times in my life in this job that I feel stressed, and I have to remind myself to bite a piece of the apple, chew the bite, and then swallow, and then come back for my next bite of the apple. So I think just slow down and surround themselves with people that love them, people that care about them, and that's teachers, it's coaches, their parents, grandparents, neighbors, whoever they feel comfortable with talking about each bite of the apple. But whenever possible, don't try to eat an apple with one bite, okay? I think that would be my advice.
All right, thank you for answering our questions. I'm Hope, this is Sarah, but don't go anywhere. We're going to take a short break and we'll be back with a couple more questions for Mr. Henner.
To be a warrior means to have school spirit.
Open-minded.
United,
Kindness.
perseverance, courageous,
Strong.
Compassionate. Integrity.
To me, being a warrior is really just continuously working hard and
me being a warrior is preparing myself for my senior year and also preparing myself to become a pediatric nurse.
To be a warrior is to always persevere. A true warrior always gets their work done and does the right thing even when it's difficult.
And we're back with Mr. Henner and Hope. So this past year, we know that you're the new superintendent and everything. It's your first year. How does it feel filling in Dr. Potter's shoes?
So Dr. Potter has been a friend of mine for almost 20 years, so it's a humbling experience. But like I've told different media groups that, Dr. Potter really isn't going anywhere in my life. We've been friends for 20 years. I still plan on spending time with him. It's a great resource to have as far as, there are things that happen as a superintendent. It's a lonely place at the top, they say. So so I need resources of people to talk to that know what it feels like, not maybe in the moment that I'm in right now, but have been in different moments in the past. So being able to talk to Dr. Potter and call him and call the other superintendents in the area when I'm faced with challenging moments, it's a great resource to have. And, I don't care whether it's me, students, or staff, you always surround yourself with people that care about you and that want you to do well. So I practice what I preach.
So what are your plans for Liverpool?
So, I could talk for days about things that I want to do for the school district and the community, but I think I would sum it up into two different themes that hopefully will support each other. One, student safety is very, very important to me. I want students to be able to come to school, feel safe. I want our staff to come to school and feel safe. And when unfortunate things happen, I want people to know that they'll be taken care of in an orderly fashion with focus on student safety, staff safety, and providing an environment that's cohesive of the learning environment that we want for our kids, and then blending into the two things that support that support each other is the learning environment. I want students to be able to have purpose and have opportunities to not feel like they're just going through the motion, going through their schedule. Like the class that you're in right now. You chose this class, and my hope is that every student in our organization, whether it be media arts, whether it be robotics, whether it be our AP courses, they all have dreams and goals to where they want to be. And for the students that don't have those dreams and ambitions, I would hope they would work with their counselors or the staff members they look up to and help develop those dreams and those goals, because it would really give them purpose and hopefully make it a better place for them to come every day. Going somewhere where you don't have goals and ambitions, it's a place where you probably don't see the purpose of why you want to go there. So I'm just hoping that our students will connect with those staff members, whether they be counselors, teachers, coaches, and really find that purpose of coming here every day.
Okay. So to me, it seems like you just really want staff and students to really have a relationship with each other and to feel like this is a place where it's not just, you come to school, you get an education, that's it. It's a place where you get to socialize, where you get to build new connections, and that's the future that you're looking for, and frankly, we all agree. I think these past couple of years have been really rough for us, especially with COVID and everything. A lot of students, their mental health hasn't been the best, and a lot of different situations, but I think everyone this year has felt something different and a different vibe. So I'm really excited to see the great new things that you do. But yeah.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it also, and it's never going to be about me. It's really about the ideas and how we work with each other to develop, the things that we'll do into the future. I mean, it doesn't have to be out of my office. Actually, more times than not, it shouldn't be coming out of my office. It should be coming from students. It should be coming from staff, and the great collaborative conversations that you're having of where we go into the future to create that engagement. If, for the students that aren't engaged, that feedback from teachers, that feedback from those students of what they need to be engaged would be something that we need to know from a budget point of view so we can make the magic happen.
Right. Okay, well, I think that's all we have for questions for you today.
All right. Well, it was great to have you with us, Mr. Henner. As we can already tell, there's a lot that you want to do with the district, and we are really excited to see all that stuff come into play. Us here at the Lifeguard are also really excited to be working with you this year, and we thank you for joining us on our very first episode of The Deep End. And we thank you, Liverpool students, staff, and families for joining us, and we will see you next time.